It is Monday, and I just sat here real quick and talked about everything I wanted to do and realized that I hadn't even pressed record on my phone. So that's great. But so to give you guys a quick rundown of what is going on this week, last night I ended up finishing another book at the end of last week's vlog. So my next book, my next arc I'm working on is going to be The 13th Guardian by K.M. Lewis. It is, I think, a more high fantasy story, which I have not read a high fantasy in quite a long time, so I'm very excited because a lot of the books I have been reading this past couple months have been either thrillers or romances and maybe an urban fantasy here or there, but nothing like super high fantasy. So I'm really excited. I hope that this one turns out to be really good and gets me very involved with it. My hope is that this week I can get through maybe at least 2, maybe 3 more of my arcs. It depends really on what goes on this week. I'm also hoping that sometime, maybe like this coming weekend or even the beginning of next week, I will receive my copy of Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee, which is the sidekick group book for the BiblioGames. So my hope is that if I can get it either Saturday or beginning of next week, I can get started with it as soon as possible, considering that the group book is probably going to be really quick for me to run through anyway, considering it's a middle grade story. And I'm fairly certain it is going to complete the last 2 challenges I need for the BiblioGames, which is to read the group book and read a book that has a funny side character, which is one of the sidekick challenges. So we'll see. I think it's going to work because the only other book I'm working on right now is probably not going to really have much of a funny side character, and that's because I'm listening to the audiobook now for A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin, which I'm very happy with because I liked A Clash of Kings. I liked it a lot. There were a lot of really good things about it in terms of it being a sequel, but I think, you know, it wasn't as good, I thought, as A Game of Thrones was. So I'm hoping A Storm of Swords might be a little better. I'm already a chapter in. I just finished the prologue this morning as I was getting ready and as I was starting my route to work. I did watch the first couple episodes, I think, of A Game of Thrones, like the first season with Robert a couple weeks ago, and it was okay, but I don't know, it was alright. I like the people that they picked for a lot of the characters that, you know, I remember vaguely from reading A Game of Thrones in like November, December of 2018, but I don't know necessarily if I would watch the entirety of the show. It kind of is slow paced in a way for me to where I feel like I just be dragging along with it. Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, and as far as what I read last night, so I think I read somewhere between 60 to 70 pages of The 13th Guardian by K.M. Lewis. I'm really enjoying it right now. It is very interesting to read, as it is something I've not ever read before, and I was mistaken. It is not a fantasy by any means. It's got a little bit of fantasy things, I think, involved with it later in the story, but not really. It is basically the best way I can describe it. Not a post-apocalyptic story, but an apocalyptic story. Like, literally the apocalypse is happening in this entire story. So basically the world is falling to pieces and everyone is assuming it's something nature-based or, you know, religious-based, but nobody knows for sure. So there's some ideas about, you know, like I said, about it being maybe like the apocalypse that, you know, God had talked about sometime at some point in the Bible. In the very beginning of the book, there's references to Ragnarok, which is the Norse version of the apocalypse, and then there's also the Greek idea of the apocalypse. And so it's interesting, like there's different kind of stories being played within this, and I think it's playing on the idea that the world is basically ending, and, you know, there's all these different religions that, you know, talk about the end of the world, and, you know, I don't know how they're going to fit in, like, the Norse and Greek mythology, if that's going to play in at all, but the story is basically following several characters who I don't know for sure at this point, but I have a feeling they're going to basically be a part of the group that is talked about in the synopsis of the story, because the synopsis that is on Goodreads talks about a girl who basically finds out she's what's called a guardian, and she's supposed to protect the world and everything, and she meets up with 4 other people around the world that all 5 of them have some kind of medical anomaly, that something like that basically has protected them from the destruction of the world and they're the ones that are supposed to kind of protect it. I think that's what the synopsis basically talks about. So I think the characters that I've met so far are a part of that group. The first couple chapters had been very, very intense with all of the description of the world ending and stuff like that. I like it a lot. It is very different than what I had expected it to be, and I'm kind of happy about it because I think I'm enjoying it a lot more, kind of being blind going into it almost. So I don't know, I really like it. I hope that it continues to be good. I ended up being able to read a little bit at work yesterday because I didn't really have anything to do for like an hour. I can't say that the same will be happening today depending on how things go. Then as far as how I am liking A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin, I haven't really gotten that far into it. I think I'm on like chapter 4, which is Arya's chapter. I don't quite know what to think of it at this point. It's still interesting, so I am going to continue reading it. I'm really excited to continue with working with it, but I know it's going to take me a lot to get through it, and I woke up a little late this morning, so I didn't get a chance to listen to it as I was getting ready. Tonight I'm actually going to be going disc golfing with Robert because my office is doing this big disc golfing team building thing next week, and I've never gone disc golfing, and Robert really likes doing it. He got into it through a friend of ours, and so he is going to take me out and teach me how to do some disc golf so that I can be at least a little bit more prepared for this team building event, and I'm not, just making a fool of myself completely. Like, I might still suck, but at least I won't make a complete fool of myself. Like, I can't throw a disc very well. Like, my wrists are very, very dainty, and I don't have a lot of strength behind them, so we'll see how that goes. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday. I am getting a very late start to the day. I had an appointment that I could not get to until 8 o'clock this morning, so that is making me late to work, which thankfully, though, my job isn't that strict about when I come in. They like to have an idea of when I would come in, but it's not, uncommon for people to have a day or two, every once in a while where they have to come in late. And basically, the big thing is that I just have to make sure I have 8 hours of work in. So I'm going to get there probably after 9 o'clock this morning, and so I'm going to have to be there till after 5, which is fine, but I'm very used to just being there until before 4 o'clock, so it's just going to be very weird for me. But anyway, this morning I wanted to talk to you guys about what I read last night, which was not much. So pretty much the only stuff I read last night was listening to my audiobook for A Storm of Swords. I'm basically like a couple hours into it. I don't know exactly how many pages of the physical book I am in at this point in time, but I am a good few hours in. I think I'm like maybe 3, almost 4 hours into the audiobook at this point. And the reason I was only able to listen to the audiobook last night was because last night Robert took me to go disc golfing, and it was really, really fun. I had a really good time. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. So I feel like I started to do really well towards the end of it. Basically, my big problem now with it is that I don't have a lot of force behind my throws, but being as little as I am and having very little muscle tone to me, that's not a surprise, because that's actually been something I have struggled with in any sport I've played over the course of my life. When I was in volleyball and when I was in softball, I've never had great upper body strength to be able to throw things, really, really well, or be able to have a lot of force behind, anything. So it's something I've always struggled with. It's not a surprise to me at all, but I was starting to get really good, like, towards the end of it. So it was really, really fun. I had a good time, and I'm very happy that Robert was willing to teach me, because I don't know if I would have, done well at all if he didn't teach me. So, but that's next Wednesday is that team building one. So I'm pretty excited. So then basically after that, we had gotten dinner and we went home, and then because it was already I think by that time it was almost 8 o'clock at night, I was very tired. I did not want to focus on anything, so we sat and we watched this show that we've been really getting into called Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia, which basically focuses on, talking about different psychedelic drugs and, kind of how they came about, what's their impact on society, what they do, and kind of the more pharmacological study of these psychedelic drugs is really, it's a really interesting show if you're interested in learning about the pharmacology of these kinds of things, like these plants and sometimes animals that are involved with it. So it's really interesting if you're interested in it. I like it a lot. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so I didn't get a lot of reading done. I didn't read the 13th Guardian at all yesterday, unfortunately. And tonight, though, I should be able to, depending on, you know, what's going on tonight. I don't think we have anything going on. I think it's just going to be a night at home, so I should be able to get through some of it tonight. And then maybe finish it tomorrow night. So, because I don't have very much of it. Like, I think I'm under, like, I think I have less than 5 hours of the book left. So, if I don't finish it tonight, I should be able to finish it tomorrow night when I get home from work. But the audiobook for A Storm of Swords is going to take a lot longer than that because I only have it for 2 weeks and I'm slowly going through it. I'm probably not going to finish it by the time I have to send it back, so then I'll have to switch to the paperback. Which isn't that bad, but it kind of sucks because I like to listen to the audiobook. Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday. So last night, again, I really was not reading a whole lot. I ended up listening, though, to I think almost 2 hours worth of A Storm of Swords. This week is apparently not a very good week for me in terms of reading. I don't exactly know why. I read quite a bit on Monday of the 13th Guardian, and I don't know, just since then I haven't really had any reason to read. I mean, I don't know. Last night I didn't get home until after 6 o'clock, or almost 6 o'clock actually, and then I made dinner right after I got home, and then I was just so exhausted from the long day, and that I basically just sat around and did nothing. Robert and I did though last night go for a walk, just a very short walk around the block that we live on, and that was very nice. We did that right before I went to bed, and then I sat and talked to my mom for a little bit, and then I went to sleep at probably like close to 11. So the night was pretty nice, but I just didn't really feel like reading. I'm not quite sure why. And tonight after I get home, Robert wants to go on another walk and then go to dinner. So I think that tonight, maybe after I get back from dinner, I can do that. Also last night I was editing the vlog, which I think is part of why I did not do any reading. Was last night I was editing last week's vlog finally, and I finished it. So today when I get home from work, I'm going to be uploading that one and the week before because I finally have those both done. And also after I get out of work, I'm going to go pick up my copy of Not Your Sidekick by C.D. Lee so I can go and get that started a little bit, because I think I can, you know, at least get it started since it's a middle grade, so it's a little easier to move through, and quicker too. Or what I might do is try to finish the 13th Guardian first and then pick up Not Your Sidekick, just because I feel like it would be easier just to finish one book and then start the next one. Because I used to read like 2 books at a time when I was a kid, like when I was like in elementary school, but it would get very confusing very, very quickly doing that. So I don't know, we'll see what I do. I have been getting a lot busier at work as well, so I haven't been given the luxury of having some downtime to read, because yesterday especially I was just busy pretty much around the clock. And, you know, I had all these different projects I had to work on. So I don't know how today's going to be. It might be more of the same. It might not be. Hey guys, so it is about almost 9:30 at night, and I wanted to quickly update you guys with what's going on. So I've just checked in the paperback version of A Storm of Swords whereabouts I am in it based on my audiobook, and I am about 161 pages into the book, which is actually a lot more than I expected, but I always forget that the audiobook, like for every 2 hours you're going through about 50 some pages, so that's why those audiobooks are so long. But yeah, I'm 161 pages in. I'm only like probably not quite a tenth of the way through it, unfortunately, because this book is like almost 1,200 pages, I think, compared to the other two, which were like 800 and I think close to 1,000 for A Clash of Kings. So right now I'm trying to get my BiblioGames vlogs from the last couple weeks up. The first one is almost in processing, and once that one's done, I'll put up the other one from last week. And I think I'm going to try to read a little bit of the 13th Guardian before I go to sleep, maybe like a chapter, and at least so I have read something of it. And then tomorrow I don't know exactly what's going to be going on with work. I had a lot to do today, and so I was very busy all day today. And tomorrow I think I'm still going to be kind of busy, but I think I might have a lot of downtime because after I think my 2 meetings that I have tomorrow, I will pretty much not have a lot. I may have time tomorrow, maybe like after lunch, to sit and read a little for a while, since I'll have nothing to do. But it's gonna also then depend on like how quick I can get through everything within the first couple hours of my day. I did go grab my copy of Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee. That came in actually last night, apparently, before I got home from work. And so after work today, I went and grabbed it. It is a paperback copy. I have it in my bag, so I will be picking that one up once I finish the 13th Guardian. So that's my plan, at least, because I think I should be able to finish the 13th Guardian tomorrow night, since tomorrow's Friday and I won't have really a lot to do tomorrow. So after I get home from work, and I've only got like 4.5 hours of it, so I think if I sit down and start reading it from when I get, like, as soon as I get home, I should be able to finish it tomorrow night, no problem. But as I am talking, my first BiblioGames vlog has just gotten done, so I'm uploading, so I'm going to get that finished up, and then get my second one ready, and then probably read until about 10 o'clock tonight and go to bed. Hey guys, so it is about 9:30 on Friday evening, and at about 23% of the way through the 13th Guardian, I'm going to be DNFing it. I essentially today read about 18 pages of it, a little bit while I was at work, and I finished the chapter I was working on earlier, just a few minutes ago, and I don't know, I'm not loving it. Like, I liked the very beginning of it. I thought it was very interesting. The scenes are very, very graphic, though, and it's very much an apocalyptic story, but the synopsis that is on Goodreads basically makes you think that there's going to be one character you're following, and she meets like 5 other people that all have the same medical anomaly that she has. But the reality of the situation is that you are reading from like 50 million different people around the world as the world is falling apart, and it's not until almost a quarter of the way through that you have the first instance of meeting the supposed main character of this story. So, I don't know, a lot of it seemed completely unnecessary. The scenes themselves that were written in the story actually were good, and they actually were really well done scenes. But to have all of that for the first quarter of the book before you even introduce the supposed main character of the story seems so ridiculous to me. I don't understand how that would have happened, how that can happen, and how that actually does anything for your story. Like, I just don't get it. So I'm DNFing it because I can't do it anymore. I'm sick and tired of not understanding where the story is going. All it is everyone basically having their own mini episodes throughout the story while the world is ending, which is cool and all, I think, for a TV show, you know, if it was to be written in that way for like a TV show or a movie, but not when you're supposed to have a normal plot go on with your story within all of that. You know, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm just going to DNF it, and I'm actually might be going to bed here soon because I'm very tired. I did listen to, though, another hour and 20 minutes of A Game of Thrones. I think that's probably about almost like between 25 to 30 pages, I think. It was like a couple chapters, I think, that I got through. So I'm really liking it a lot. There's some really great stuff that's happened. Tomorrow is Saturday, so I'm basically going to be at home. I am tomorrow going to be starting Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee. It is a very short book from what I saw of the copy I got from the library, so I really think that if I don't finish it tomorrow, I will definitely be able to finish it sometime during Sunday and then get started on another book. Hey guys, so it is about 1:45 in the afternoon on Saturday, and I have gotten a lot done within the last few hours. So, today I got up about just after 10 o'clock in the morning, I think. I made my first cup of coffee, and then I cleaned up the apartment a little bit. I cleaned up the office because there was a whole pile of junk that had not been sifted through or organized. So I finally did that, and I organized my desk a little bit, so it made me feel a lot better. I talked to my mom for a little bit today. I did finally another freelance post, which I haven't done in several weeks, and I was really glad to get back to that because the one I did was actually kind of cool. So Then I also I posted my review for The Starter Wife on NetGalley and on my blog, so that's up for you guys to go check out if you'd like to see it. And I just downloaded the video for my next childhood episode, which will be going up later today. I'm gonna quickly get that started rendering, and then I have one more thing I want to do before I start reading today, and that's work on a few chapters of my book, because I have not touched that in about a week, and I want to get back to it. Over the weekends, I would like to try to get through like 6 chapters where I'm working on chapters, like 3 chapters every day of rewrites, which it takes me maybe like an hour or so to do, depending on how long they are. So yeah, and then after that's done, all I will be doing the rest of the day is reading, other than editing, obviously, the childhood Let's Play video and getting that uploaded. But today I am going to be starting Not Your Sidekick by C.D. Lee. This was a copy I had transferred from a different library to my local library that is in town, and it is quite short, I will say. I don't quite know how short it is, this paperback version. It is about 280 pages apparently, so I can easily get through the majority of this today, if not finishing it today. But if I don't, I will be finishing it tomorrow. And we'll have to go into town at some point today very quickly to get a couple things that I didn't get grocery-wise yesterday. The majority of the day basically is going to be me just kind of sitting around and doing the stuff I don't get to do during the week. This is what I love about my weekends when I'm not doing anything, like specifically, is I get to do so many things that I don't get to normally do during the week, like working on my book and doing a freelance post and working on reviews and stuff like that. So I'm very happy. Also, I'm on my 2nd cup of coffee, so I'm feeling great. Hey guys, so it is, I think, if not 9:30 already, maybe just past 9:30, but to update you guys with how today's gone, I didn't read as much of Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee as much as I wanted to before Robert got up. I got to like page 51. The only negative I can give this book, if anything, is that I don't like the long chapters. I am not a long chapter person. They wear me down very, very easily, and I feel like it takes me a lot longer to get through the book because the chapters are so long. That is a personal preference of mine. I am not saying this book is bad by any means. I actually really enjoy this story. I am just not a person that likes long chapters, but I am not going to be using that as anything to mark anything down on this book because it is a personal preference. I find it just very silly to mark this down only because I don't like the chapter length of the story. It doesn't make sense to me to mark down a book for that. So I'm not going to use it to mark down this book because otherwise the story is really, really good. I really like it a lot. This I thought was a middle grade. For some reason, I think it was the cover design made me think it might be a middle grade, but this is actually a young adult novel, and I'm really, really loving it. This follows a bisexual Asian, I believe she's Vietnamese and Chinese girl who essentially doesn't really have any powers, despite the fact that everyone else around her seems to have some kind of ability or power that is extraordinary and super like. So this is placed like in the 22nd or 23rd century, and in the 21st century there was this huge solar flare, kind of similar to what happens in the Fantastic Four movies, where a solar flare comes by and the people of Earth start developing these kind of like metahuman powers. And with that comes a lot of like, you know, conflict and war and other things happen on Earth as a result of the solar flare. And, you know, things kind of just spiral, and now the world basically has a lot of superheroes involved with it. There seems to be this weird thing going on, though, where it's almost as if a lot of people who have superpowers are hiding it from everybody. I don't quite understand that exactly. Maybe it's because they kind of want to have a sense of normalcy, so they keep their powers secret from each other. But Jess, the main character, is the middle daughter of a superhero couple that is really popular within their town, but in the grand scheme of all the superheroes, they're kind of like on the average list. And unfortunately for Jess, at nearly 17 years old, she has not had an inkling of any power or ability coming her way. So it is entirely possible she will never receive any superhero powers or anything like that. And because of that, and because she still wants to try to somehow make a name for herself within this world, she decides to take up an internship at a robotics industry that is known for making like home robotics, where they kind of take care of the household in a way, like cleaning and stuff like that. Unfortunately for her, according to the synopsis, she ends up working for someone who is like a really big villain within this town, and ends up having to work with a girl she has a crush on, and also meets and becomes attracted to this other character that she doesn't really know anything about. But for some reason, this person is not ever in the same room as the girl that Jess is crushing on at the same time. So it's a weird kind of thing. I'm thinking that there's going to be a bit of a plot twist involving Abby and this character M later on. So the story is really kind of following her as she's going through this internship, and finds out about exactly what this internship is looking to do and what this person that is behind the internship is planning to do with it. So it's gonna be really interesting. There's not a lot that's gone on right now in the first couple chapters. On page 51 is where I'm at, but it's really interesting so far. I do like it. I think it's very, very interesting, and one of the things I think I like the most about it is the way that it was introduced that Jess was bisexual, because it wasn't like in your face by any means. There were just kind of passing moments where very naturally the idea of her being bisexual was presented. Like there was it was in the very first chapter, a conversation between her and one of her friends that had shared a picture of the girl that Jess had liked, and said something along the lines of like, hey, here's that girl that you've been really, you know, crushing on for a while, kind of thing. Which is very, very interesting. Because then it makes the reader think that either the person is bisexual or maybe even gay or pan, depending on how you would look at it. But then it is actually more explicitly state in a different scene later on, but it's not like in your face either. It was a scene where the narrator was talking about how Jess kind of is unseen, and she's kind of seen as she's kind of invisible throughout her life in terms of school, because her teachers don't really think of her as anything other than average. Her family is kind of more concerned with her younger brother, who is a genius, and her older sister, who is actually like a really big superhero right now. So she as the middle child, Jess, is kind of left in the midst. She's kind of just invisible to everyone. And the narrator mentions this scene where the only time that Jess was ever really known in her school was when she accidentally outed herself in her sophomore English class after reading like this very particular poem. And that would have been interesting to read more about. I would have wanted to know what specifically the poem was and how she had outed herself exactly with that. But yeah, and then it kind of talks about how everyone was like really like weirded out at first, or like curious about it for a little while, and then it kind of like died out and she just kind of went back to being invisible. It was just really interesting because I feel like the way that C.B. Lee is writing the story is it's not intended to be a huge thing about the fact that Jess is bisexual. Like obviously there's a huge plot point surrounding the fact that she has a crush on a girl, but it's not super in your face that she's bisexual. It's kind of more of like, she's this girl who's kind of invisible, she's kind of average. Oh, and yeah, she's kind of bisexual too. Like, it's kind of mentioned in passing, and I really like that. I think it's really interesting and definitely, you know, gives it a little bit more of a lighter tone to the idea of it, because I feel like a lot of authors, if they write gay characters, especially if they are not gay themselves, they will write the characters as like blatantly gay or blatantly bisexual or blatantly trans. You know, it's, you know, they kind of force the character to show themselves as that at every instance, and I feel like that's actually a lot more harmful, because it kind of makes it known that the character is nothing more than that. They're nothing more than their sexuality or their gender. And with this, it's kind of like, it's kind of showing that she is more than that. Like, just because she is bisexual does not mean that she is only bisexual. I really, really love that, because I feel like it just validates the idea that, you know, even if you're, you know, gay, lesbian, pan, bisexual, trans, genderqueer, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. Like, just because you are one or the other does not define you. You are more than that. You should be more to other people than just your sexual or gender identity. And I think that's what a lot of people want, is they want to be seen as more than what they ascribe to sexually and gender identity wise. I know that being a pan individual myself, I don't want to be seen as just pan. I want to be seen as, you know, book smart and, you know, kind and maybe funny and adventurous and curious and, you know, all these different things. I don't want to be known as just my sexuality. You know, I don't want to be seen as just that. I want to be seen for other things about me, and that's, you know, that's something that's important to me, and I think is what is important to a lot of people on the LGBTQ spectrum, is they want to be seen as more than just their sexuality. I'm really happy to see it, and I think whether it was intentional or not is fine, but C.B. Lee did a good job with, I think, of just making the fact that Jess is more than just bisexual by making it not a flashy, in-your-face kind of deal. So anyway, that's a really long rant, but that's kind of what I've been really thinking with this book a lot. Like, I love the story of it so far. I'm not that far into it, though. But I really, really like what is being done with the story. Like, it is just the character address herself. Like, she's very, very deep and very, very complex. And you see that within the very first 2 chapters of the novel. So I'm really impressed with, I think, how this story is coming out. And I would really like to read the rest of it if I can. But, so for my goal tonight, I'm a little more wired than I normally am at this time of night. Normally about this time, about 10 o'clock at night, I would be very tired and going to bed. But I think I can stay up for at least another hour before I'm going to really start wanting to go to bed. So I'm going to try to get to page 150 of this book, or 155 I think was what the actual page number would be. Because I'm trying to read like to 150, but the closest thing I can get to 150 is 155 to get to the end of the next chapter. So that's my goal, and that way I'll have only like 130 pages left to read tomorrow. Tomorrow I am going to be working on recording an episode of Childhood Friends. I'm going to be editing the majority of this vlog tomorrow, and hopefully, and then working on my book a little bit, a little more like I did today. And then I think tomorrow also Robert and I are going to go see Toy Story 4 with our friend Ryan, because he really wants to see it, as it's his favorite Pixar series and it's the last movie. And Robert actually wants to see it because he thinks it's going to be really cute and fun, and he wants to just do something, because a lot of times we're just stuck in our apartment not doing anything and not being social. So, and we also have to do laundry tomorrow, so I think that it's just going to be a very busy day. Hey guys, so it is about 10:21 in the morning right now. I've made coffee. Also, I have gotten the vlog up to this point, basically, or up to today, rendering. By the time I get back tonight, I should be able to get the last of today's clips in there and then hopefully edit it. So I'm going to quickly record a part of The Sims 4 Childhood Friends and probably finish the rest of, or get close to finishing Not Your Sidekick. I really like the story a lot. It's definitely
got some plot to it, but it's not like super extensive at this point. I think that the main character, Jess, is just trying to understand what exactly is going on, but nothing nefarious has come across her yet, so I'm excited to see when those nefarious things start to come up. Hey guys, so it's about 12:30 and I've decided that I'm actually going to wait to do my laundry until probably after the movie, because typically we do laundry with our friend Ryan that we go and see at least once a week, or we hang out with him at least once a week to be a little bit social. And I kind of just felt like I wanted to stay at home for the majority of the day. Like, I didn't really want to go out right at the moment. So I'm gonna, I think, make some lunch. I'm gonna warm up some of the leftovers we had from dinner last night, and I'm gonna sit and edit this week's vlog to where I have it right now, and that way, you know, it's mostly ready, and then I can edit the last little bit of it tonight before I go to bed, and then have it export overnight. So I think that's gonna just be the easiest thing, and then probably by the time that I get this done, I'll still have quite a bit of time to sit and probably finish Not Your Sidekick, because it's probably gonna take me maybe like a couple hours to edit the vlog where it is now. Maybe, I don't know, but either way, I still would have quite a bit of time before I would have to make dinner, so I can sit and read more of Not Your Sidekick. So it is about 10 to 2 in the in the afternoon right now, and I just finished editing the vlog up to today basically, so that took a little more than an hour to do, which is fine. I still have to put in all of today's clips, which I'm slowly adding to my Google Drive as I go through the days, so that it's easier for me to download them later and then put them in the vlog. So now, since I've got quite a bit of time, I think I'm gonna make dinner around 5. So since I have a few hours, I'm gonna start reading more of Not Your Sidekick. Like I said earlier today, I ended up on page like 102 instead of 155 like I had planned, so I have more to read today than I had originally planned, but I can still get through quite a bit of it. I basically had stopped partway through a chapter because I got very, very sleepy while I was reading in bed. So yeah, so for the next few hours, at least until I have to start making dinner, I'm gonna get through this, and then I'm gonna get dressed, make dinner, and then the movie's at 6:30, so we'll probably leave here about 6, maybe no later than 6:10. And after the movie, I'm gonna go do laundry with Ryan, maybe finish reading this. Otherwise, I will finish this when I get home. Hi guys, so it is about 10 to 5 in the evening, and I just finished Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee. Oh my freaking god, I loved this book so much. So the big thing I think I want to take away from this novel and share with everyone is the fact that it is woke as fuck, okay? So not only do we have a bisexual Asian character in here, but we also have a trans character who I believe is black, as he is described as running a Creole business, Creole restaurant with his family. We have people in this world that are asking about pronouns of different people that they don't know, and there are so many points of this novel regarding the political system that is involved within it that play so importantly with the current status of the world, where there's a lot of people who think that the government is hiding things from us and thinking that the government is trying to, you know, make things seem better than they actually are, and are hiding different things, or are refusing to highlight certain things about what's going on because they don't want people to think outside of what they want, and the idea of trying to control people, and the idea of trying to, you know, in a way have some kind of crowd control or something along those lines. Like, there is so much packed into this novel. It is absolutely insane that it is only 280 pages. I cannot believe how much I enjoyed this from beginning to end. Like, I didn't even so much care later on in the story about the long chapters like I was talking about yesterday. This novel, just everything about it was amazing. It was funny at points. It really, like I said, hit some super important aspects that are so timely, I think, for right now, especially in the world. And like I said, is incredibly cognizant of the idea of using pronouns and, you know, identifying different kinds of individuals within the LGBTQ spectrum. It is just so amazing I don't understand how this is such an underrated novel. Like, I have only heard this be talked about a couple of times over BookTube, and when I heard that the BiblioGames was going to be using this for the Sidekick team, I was really excited because I had not really heard anything about it, did not really know anything about it, but now I am so pissed that people aren't talking more about this book because it is absolutely wonderful. Obviously a 5 out of 5 stars for me. I absolutely loved it. This is counting for my group book challenge for the Sidekick team, and I am actually going to count it for the final challenge that I have to complete, which is to have a book with a funny side character, because there is one really funny side character in this. He's not even really like a huge part of the story, but he's like this little robot named Cha, who basically is one of those robots where he's so old and broken, but he really wants to help and he really wants to be, you know, involved with everything, and just he's so cute. I just adore him. So or the robot, at least. I don't know if the robot necessarily would have pronouns, but so yeah, so this is finally completing all of my challenges for the BiblioGames. So I am officially, you know, I'm not officially, but I'm pretty much done with all my challenges. I have completed them all with this book, and yeah, so that's basically going to be it for me for this week, because like I told you guys earlier, I am going to be going to see a movie tonight with Robert and Ryan, and afterwards we are going to go do laundry. My plan for this next week is to get through at least another book, which my next arc I'm going to be reading is going to be Time After Time. I don't know the author name. I believe this is a historical fiction book. I'm not sure, but my goal is to basically hopefully get through at least one more book in my arcs list and continue working through A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin, because obviously I only have that audiobook for a couple weeks and I want to try to get through as much of it as possible before I move to the paperback version. Because I only have the audiobook for about another week, I do not think I will finish the paperback by the end of the month, so it'll probably end up carrying over into July, which is fine. I hope that you guys are having a great time with the BiblioGames. Let me know if you are on Team Sidekick, what you thought of Not Your Sidekick, if you loved it as much as I did, if you found things in it that were really, really interesting in terms of the writing style and the plot development. Otherwise, if you're not a part of Team Sidekick but are participating in the BiblioGames, what are you reading? How are you doing? Do you feel like you're doing well for your teams? I don't even really know who's winning at this point, because there's been a lot, unfortunately, of problems associated, I believe, with the tracking of the pages within the competition. I don't even know who is ahead at all, which probably is, you know, good. It keeps me from feeling like I'm failing everything, but I'm just really proud I got all my challenges done, so that's all I can ask for. So where are you guys with your reading? Are you completing challenges? Have you finished all yours? And just let me know how you guys are doing in any case. So anyway, I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!